Hi everyone, thank you for joining me. I have 3 cards featuring Simon Says Stamps Poppy Perfection. For dramatic effect, I'm using a blackout technique and then pairing it with some beautiful patterned paper. Poppy Perfection is a large stamp set 6x8 and includes several floral images and lots of beautiful scripty sentiments. I began by stamping all of my images on white cardstock that was A2 size, 4 1/4 inches by 5 1/2 inches with Versamark ink. The impressions were coated with gold embossing powder. Before applying the heat, I make sure that my heat tool has come to maximum temperature. This ensures a quick melt and minimizes warping. I'm going to use Copic markers to do my coloring. The images on the 3 panels will be done in the same colorway. The stems are colored with a dark olive green YG97. For each of the leaves, I start off at the base with my darkest color YG97. I then work up towards the tip of the leaf with YG93 and 91. This is easy coloring with the embossed lines, and between each of the tones of green, I just do a little scrubbing motion to blend them together. I don't worry about getting alcohol ink on those embossed lines. I'll fix that up right at the end. Because I'm using a blackout technique, I chose to make all of my poppies red. I thought that would be the most dramatic effect. As each of the poppies are colored, I'm working one petal at a time. At the base of each petal, I'm using a very deep red, R89. A gradient is created by introducing R27, a mid-tone, and then my highlight color, which is R20, a soft pink. The poppies have a pretty stripe detail, and I use the R89, that deep red, to accentuate that. The red poppies with the gold embossing is really beautiful. I'm only applying one layer of color, so the coloring does go very quickly. To make sure that I get a good blend between the tones of red, I do a scrubbing motion. When the coloring is complete, I'm going to use my colorless blender to remove any of the alcohol ink that is sitting on the embossed lines. This tends to be much more evident with red inks than any other color. The tip of the marker is just run lightly over the embossing. I'm not being particularly careful. It's not going to do any harm to the coloring itself. And now for the blackout technique. This is an A2 size card front, which I'm not going to be trimming down. For this technique, I would use a black 100 Copic marker, which produces a very solid black background, not unlike black construction paper. I ran out of ink, and when I went to my local art store to purchase more ink, someone had been in right before me and purchased everything that they had. So I've had to rely on the W10, which is a very, very dark gray. With the first coat, the background was not consistently solid, and I could see the marker lines. When I put on a second coat, it not only made the background nice and solid, it also deepened it, and I did end up with a black background. I really make an extra effort to use the patterned paper that is included in Simon's monthly card kits. Making this goal has made me much more conscious about actually incorporating it. If I hadn't made the goal, I can tell you right now, it would just be a growing collection in my craft room. And it's so gorgeous. Look at this paper by Moda Scrap called Spring Poppies. Liquid adhesive was applied directly to the white area on the card front, and then I just lay down the 6x6 paper sheet right on top of it. The card front is flipped over onto my guillotine, lined up, and then I removed the excess patterned paper. I'm using a really beautiful glittery washi tape as a border between the patterned paper and the stamped image. I'm not 100% confident with the adhesive on the back of this tape, and so I'm adding in a line of liquid adhesive just as a bit of insurance. Sentiments for all 3 cards are stamped at once. I apply some anti-static powder to black construction paper and then ink up my stamps with Versamark, coat it with gold embossing powder, and then with my tool preheated, melt it. The card fronts are adhered to A2 size top folding card bases. To cut the sentiments, I'm using one of the dies from Sentiment Labels. This is a go-to die set that I use a lot. I like to incorporate dimension on cards, and so all of the sentiments are going to be stacked onto black sheet foam. After it's trimmed out, then it's adhered to the card front. The cards are finished up with some gorgeous gold foil pearls by Studio Kasha. And that completes this set of cards featuring Simon Says Stamps Poppy Perfection. I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, I appreciate your visit.